Hey, welcome to another episode of MCrider. This week we're going to continue our new rider series. In the past we've covered 4 new riders, an intro to new riding, and we helped you select hopefully some proper safety gear. And then last week we talked about selecting your first motorcycle and things to look for, various options for motorcycles. This week, since you've gone out and bought your motorcycle, we're going to talk about controls and how some of the basic controls on the motorcycle are laid out. I've got 2 motorcycles behind me, a Harley-Davidson Road King and a Yamaha Super Tenere. We're going to look at some differences in the layouts of the controls, where they're located, and hopefully help get you comfortable with the controls on your motorcycle before you start riding it. So if you're new here, my name's Kevin. I'm a motorcycle instructor in the North Texas area, and I release a weekly video here on this channel, MCrider. If you like what we're doing, I ask you to hit that subscribe button, and if you're already a subscriber, make sure and click that bell icon, because that's a change that YouTube has made. You may not get notified of new videos in the future if you don't have that bell icon selected. If you click on the bell, then every time something's released here on MCrider, you'll get notification of it. So let's get into this week's video. We'll hop up from the chair, take a walk back to those 2 motorcycles, and we'll get started. All right, so here we've got my Harley-Davidson Road King and my Yamaha Super Tenere in the background. We're going to look at the controls on these bikes, and as we go along, we'll look at some differences between how Harley does the controls and how Yamaha does the controls. So let's move over to that left hand grip, where behind that grip you'll find the clutch control, and the clutch control manipulates the delivery of power from the engine to the rear wheel. We'll have future videos where we will focus a whole lot more on that clutch control. Also in that left hand grip you've got the horn, the high and low beams. You can also push it down again to flash the high and low beams. Got the turn signal, the left turn signal, and because this is a touring oriented bike, it also has cruise control on it. Over on the right side behind the hand grip we have the front brake, and it's manipulated by squeezing that brake in towards the hand grip. On that right grip you'll also find the emergency cutoff switch that will immediately shut the engine down. And if you ever get on a motorcycle and it doesn't want to start, first thing you want to check is to make sure that switch is in the run position, and then once everything else is ready, the motorcycle should start. This bike has a rocker with the hazards at the top and the start button below, so you push that button to start the bike up, and a right turn signal. So the left turn signal's on the left side, the right one's on the right side. Push it in to turn it on, push it again to cancel it. Most Harleys also have self-canceling signals. Also on the right side of the motorcycle is the rear brake, so that's manipulated with your right foot, using your toes to push in on that rear brake. So on the left side of the motorcycle for your foot controls, on this bike you've got a heel and toe shifter, so this is how you shift gears on the motorcycle. And heel toe shifter is a little bit different than a traditional shifter. You use the heel of your foot to push down on the lever, and you use the toe of your foot to push down on the front lever. So pushing down on the front shifts you down a gear. Using the heel portion of your foot, clicking down there shifts you up a gear. If you guys remember in a prior video where we set this Road King up for skills competitions, I talked to you about this brake pedal that I installed for the rear brake from Soft Brake that allows the brake pedal to be extended out and lowered so that it keeps your foot in a much better position, much more comfortable position to be able to manipulate that rear brake. So I did that video on the Soft Brake, the rear brake pedal, and the owner of Soft Brake found the video online. I guess somebody sent it to him or he stumbled upon it. And he looked up my order and got my contact information, and he actually called me on the phone and said that he had something, a product that I may be interested in as well. And you can see it here. These are shift extenders, so extenders for the heel toe shifter on the Harley-Davidson. And one of the things that really bothered me about the heel toe shifter was they were so close in together that your foot was really locked into that floorboard. So I didn't have room to the front or the back. And these shift extenders extend the shift arms by 1.5 inches. So these are the 1.5. If you look on their website at softbrake.com, you'll see various sizes. These are the 1.5. And you'll notice how much more room I've got for my foot on the floorboard. Where before the shifter extended from the front of my toe to the heel and really limited my use of the floorboards. Another thing that it does by installing these is it allows me in particular to lower that rear shifter so that it's a much easier reach to get my foot up on that rear portion of that heel toe shifter, making it much easier to shift into higher gear and lower gears as well. So on the brake pedal, I ordered that from their website and didn't contact them ahead of time. And it's really nice for the owner of a company just to call you and say, hey, thanks for the mention in your video. And we talked for a good time when I got on the phone with him. We had a really good conversation about bikes, and he's a good guy that's going to really stand behind his products. And so far, everything I've used from Soft Brake has been top-notch. So those are the basic controls on the Road King. You will find some differences from motorcycle to motorcycle. So let's hop off the Road King, let's walk over to the Tenere, and I'll show you what some of those differences in controls are. Here we are on the Tenere now, and you'll notice first thing, just like on the Road King, it's got cruise control over on the left-hand grip, the high and low beams with a pass option. The turn signals are a little bit different. On the Tenere, it's got a single switch instead of having them on both grips like the Road King. Slide it to the left to turn left, push it in to cancel, slide right to turn right, push it in to cancel. You should do all that control with your thumb. Don't have to take your hands off the hand grips at all to manipulate the turn signals. But on this bike, make sure you cancel that signal after you make your turn. Below the signals are the horn button, and then this is a button that is a part of the cruise control option. This switch at the top just manipulates some of the screen over there. You've got different screens that you can look at, and that allows you to flip through the different screens. On the right side, the Tenere's got this mode button that allows you to select different engine maps, so sport or touring, and it changes how the throttle responds. Has the engine cutoff switch, and one thing that I really like that Yamaha does is they integrate the start button with the cutoff switch. So that eliminates one button on that right-hand grip. So you push up to turn it off, push down to put it in the run position, and then click down on it one more time like this to get it started up. Just like on the Road King, the front brake is located over on that right-hand grip, and it's behind the right grip. You manipulate it the same way. Clutch control is on that left grip, and your rear brake is down on the right side, just like it was on the Road King. For the left foot controls, the Tenere has a single shift lever, so unlike that heel toe shifter on the Road King, it's got a single shift lever. You put your foot underneath it to shift up, so click it up, click down on it to shift down into lower gears. On the right grip, you also have the throttle control. And I want to talk to you about something that's important in the way that you place your hand on the throttle. A lot of riders will start with their wrist high like this. And they've got their wrist bent. You can kind of see that bend in my wrist. When they roll on the throttle from this position, their wrist goes into a fairly comfortable position, and they develop that bad habit of starting with their wrist high. The problem this creates, though, is when they roll off the throttle and reach for the front brake, their fingers are not in the correct position to manipulate the brake. So they either have to readjust their grip, or they inadvertently roll back on the throttle as they're trying to reach for the brake. So if you start with your wrist in a nice flat position on the throttle, like I've got here, you roll on the throttle from that flat position. When you roll off the throttle, your fingers are in the perfect position to reach out for that brake. Another common mistake that you see with riders is locking their elbow out. So instead of being in a nice relaxed position, they've got their elbows locked out on the handlebars, and that keeps the motorcycle from being able to do what it needs to do as it's going down the road. Because that front tire needs to make some adjustments, and it's going to wiggle back and forth a little bit as it makes those adjustments. If you've got your elbow locked out, it keeps the motorcycle from doing what it needs to do. So instead of having your elbows locked out and in that tight position, if you'll get a little bit of bend in your elbows, it will help you be a lot more relaxed, and it was going to help the motorcycle do what it needs to going down the road. One way you can check is if you rotate your arm and it looks like this instead of like this, you know that you've got your elbows locked up. So next time you ride, check that elbow and make sure you're not locking it up and you're staying in a relaxed position riding down the road. So as you can see, there are differences in where the controls are located from one motorcycle to the next. One thing you want to practice is manipulating those controls without having to look down at them. You don't want to look down at the control and lose all that visual information out on the street of things that are happening ahead of you. So sit on the bike in your garage, practice manipulating the controls, and resist that urge to look down at it. Keep your head and eyes up the whole time when you're riding a motorcycle, and learn to manipulate those controls without looking down at it. So I hope you new riders found this video useful. If you have any comments or questions, leave those below. And if you're an experienced rider and you see some questions below that you can help with, chime in and help these new riders out and help them get familiar with their motorcycles. Till next week, guys, this is Kevin with MCrider, and we'll see you on the road. MCrider is supported by our friends on Patreon. To learn how to support MCrider and get access to the field guide, go to mcrider.com/support.